Hello all, welcome to our channel, and today we are going to study chapter number 4 of class 12 business studies, that is planning. Now in chapter planning we have to discuss various things like what planning is all about, what is the concept of planning, what are the objective of planning, what is the significance, what different type of plans we have, right, and the planning process. So lots of things to discuss, and this is one of the important thing in the business as well as for your examination. So let's start. Now, what is the concept of planning? The planning is nothing but to decide in advance who is going to do the task, when he is going to do the task, and how that task is going to be done, right? So everything is being decided in advance. So planning can be thinking in advance what to be done, how the things to be done, and who is going to do that thing. So that is the thing we have to do in advance. Everything we discuss in advance. So as far as business is concerned, you have to take the things in advance, right? So features of planning. Now the concept is, if somebody asks you what is the definition of planning, planning is the process of thinking in advance what work is to be done, who is going to do that, and by what time he is going to do that, by what method. So that is called planning. That means everything you are deciding in advance. So take the example, right? You are planning for your board examination and you are planning which book you have to study, right, and which extra book or supplementary book you have to study, how to make the notes, how to study, whether you have to do on the alternate day basis, or you have to do on the daily basis, how much time you have to divide to each subject, right? Maths you have to divide more compared to English. So this is the way how the things are done, and this should be done before the examination, right? You cannot do that after examination. Now features of planning. What are the features or characteristics of the planning? Now the first thing is planning focus on achieving objectives. So whenever you are doing planning, plan means you are doing something by giving a considerable thoughts to achieve something in future. So planning always focuses on achieving any kind of objective. Let's take the example of your study. You are studying for in class 12th, and you are trying to achieve, first objective is to get through the class 12th board examination, right? So that you can go for graduation or CA or something like that, whatever you want to follow after class 12th or your schooling. So that means this is the primary objective, and after that there are certain objective of the different people. Somebody wants to excel in math, somebody wants to excel in accountancy so that he can become chartered accountant, or CMA. So you have different plan, right? So planning is focusing on objective. The second feature of planning is a primary function. So first thing what you do, let's say if you want to go to London, so first thing you will do when I should go to London, or how to take the visa, what is the process of taking the visa, which civil aviation company I should book my ticket from. So these are the things you will decide in advance. So this is the primary function, the first function you do in the business. That is why it is called the primary function. This is pervasive in nature. Planning is pervasive in everything, whether you take it sports, right, whether you take it hospital, whether you take uh, profit organization, business organization, wherever the name you take, the business or the sports activity or the charitable activity, the planning is everywhere. You have to plan each and everything whatever you are doing. So planning is pervasive. It is pervasive everywhere it is, and at the every level, whether it is the top level management, or it is the middle level management, or it is the operation management, right? So everybody has to do the planning, right? So planning is pervasive. Planning is continuous means you have to do it on the daily basis. You cannot say that yes, I have done the planning and this is the foolproof thing and we don't have to do anything. The time, the situations are very dynamic and they keeps on changing, so you have to do the planning on the daily basis, right? Then the planning is futuristic. Futuristic means planning is related to future, right? Whatever you want to achieve in future, for that purpose you are going to do your planning, right? For you are going to take the exam in the month of March 2027 for your class 12th, right? You are planning right from right here in the month of July, August. From here you are planning to get good marks or whatever your plan is. So this is a futuristic thing which you think about future. So every business, whatever they want to achieve in future, they plan for that, and that is why it is called futuristic activity. Planning involves decision making. So planning is nothing but decision making, that who is going to do that, who, right, the person here, what he's going to do that. Let's say Mr. A, chartered accountant, he will do all the financial accounting activity. When, so by the year end he will complete all the balance sheet, cash flow, and the profit and loss account of the things. How he will do that? So there are a number of people who are supporting that, and in SAP or in Oracle he will do all the accounting thing, right? So you have all the things which you have to take the decision for. Planning is the thing by which you can take the decision in the business. So planning is nothing but it involves decision making, wherein you have to take a lots of decision for each and everything. And being an entrepreneur or the manager, it is all about decision making. You don't have to do the manual work, rather you have to plan or strategize or making the policies for the business. So this is the characteristics of the planning or the features of the planning, right? The next topic will be importance of planning. Now what are the important thing, why we are doing planning at all, what is the significance in the business for planning we are devoting, because it takes a lot of time, money, man hours. So why we are doing at all? The first thing is planning provide direction. So where we have to go, accordingly we have to take the business decision, right? Take your example only. If you are studying, right, and you play football as well, and you want to become the professional football, so obviously your first thing would be get around 40% or 33%, or get through the class 12. That would be sufficient for you because you want to become professional footballer. So accordingly planning provides direction, which direction you have to go. So you will devote more time on football compared to the study various subject, right? But if somebody wants to become the chartered accountant or the financial manager, or he wants to do the CMA, etc., so what he will do, he will cut short all the other activity, rather he will put more efforts on the accountancy, business studies, economics, the subject which are related to these courses, and he will put all those efforts there. And that is how the planning for the future, whether it is academic or non-academic, that is providing the direction where you have to go. Okay, so planning provides the direction. Then comes the planning reduces risk and the uncertainty. The future is always uncertain. What will happen, nobody knows. But what we can do is we can prepare ourselves so that the uncertainty can be minimized, or we can prepare to face the risk whatever comes in the future, right? So planning is the thing by which we are creating ourselves to face the possible or potential risk or uncertainty which can come into the future. जो कोई चीज आ सकती है जिसको हम एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं, उसके लिए हम प्लान कर लेते हैं, राइट? तो ये आपकी एक चीज है, प्लानिंग रिड्यूसेस द रिस्क एंड द अनसर्टेनिटी बिकॉज यू आर प्लानिंग ऑलरेडी. Somebody leave the organization, you have already backup plan, somebody else has already been trained for that particular work, right? If somebody is getting retired after 1 year, so you are going to hand over those things whatever he is handing to the other person, so that when he gets retired the other person can take his job. So this is called planning. Then planning reduces overlapping and wasteful activity. Let's say you say, okay, do this work, maybe 2 or 3 people will do that work. But when you are planning, that means you are providing different kind of activities to the different people. That means you are deciding who is going to do what work, right? And by what time he has to finish the work. That means you are clearly planning the things, and by that you are overlapping, you are avoiding the overlapping. That means two people are not going to do the same work, right? And wasteful activity will be less, and that is how if the wasteful activity will be less, your productivity get increased, your productivity goes up by this, right? So planning reduces the overlapping and wasteful activity. Then planning promotes innovative idea. When you are doing planning, so what do? We are thinking, right? As a team we are thinking and we are coming up with a different idea, and everybody gives the his idea, and the other person try to find out if there is any kind of problem with by implementing that idea. So we do a lot of brainstorming session, and by that what happens, we come up with the ideas which have a high probability of getting success, right? Being a successful idea. So planning always promote the innovative ideas. Then comes the planning facilitate decision making. Now what happens when you are planning? So what happens, you take lots of information from your subordinates and your people who are supporting you, and on the basis of all those information etc, you take the decision. So planning is always a thing which is related to the mental ability and the capability, and you are giving a lot of thoughts, you are taking time and taking information, on the basis of that you take the decision. That is why planning facilitates decision making for a businessman or a manager. Planning establish standard for controlling. Now the last chapter or the last function of management is controlling. How do we control something? If we have the standard to control that. If I say okay, अगर मैं आपसे कहूँ कि your performance is not good, so what is the criteria for that? I will set the criteria. If you are, let's say you are a player, you are playing professional football, so I will say okay, if you secure 40%, your performance is really good, right? 40%, okay, you are doing good. But if you are a full-time student and you are trying to get into chartered accountancy profession, so if you secures 90% plus, then I will say okay, you have done good. But if you are going that lesser than that, that is 85% or 80% you are securing, so what I will say, okay, I will say that okay, you are not doing as per the requirement of the chartered accountancy profession. So because we have set the standard, and for both the student we have different standards. Similarly in the organization as well, we have different standard for the different segment, different processes or different people. So planning always establish goal, standard, aim, on the basis of that controlling thing is being done, right? So planning establish standards for the controlling. So this is your significance or importance of planning, right? But what happens in business, you take a lot of time to do planning. There are number of managers who are hired from IIM, IIT, etc., and you are paying a hefty salary or very fat packages to them, and they are just sitting in the room and they are trying to plan the things for the business. So some people say this is wastage of time, because the people who are actually working at the factory level or the people who are at the field like sales executive etc or marketing executive etc, they are actually making the business or they are actually making the sales, or at the factory level the laborers are actually producing goods and services. But the people who are sitting in the AC room and they are just thinking about that, they are doing nothing. But let's see, we will discuss the limitation and then we will come to the conclusion. The first thing is planning leads to rigidity. Rigidity means when everything is decided in advance, right? You have decided in advance who is going to do what, right, and what is the time period he will do that thing, and what is the method he is going to use. He cannot use his brain or come up with a new innovative idea. Everything has been given and you have to follow that. In the larger company, in the larger corporates, you have been given everything and you just have to perform your task, rather, right, as a labor or at the operation level. So you don't have to do anything, you have been given everything, you just have to work, and the productivity should be as per the standard set. So their people, the management gurus and the practitioner of the management, they say this bring the rigidity. The people don't have anything to think about, they just have given the standard and they just have to follow the processes, and that is why it brings the rigidity, rather than people thinking they are just working. So this is one of the thing, right? The second thing they say, planning may not work in the dynamic environment. This is quite substantial in nature, because the future is very dynamic in nature and things can happen. Who would have thought that there would be fight between the Israel, America and Iran 6 or 8 months earlier, right? But the thing took in a very ugly way, and this is the situation, right? So planning may not work in the dynamic environment, but at the same time we have to plan for each and everything whatever we can think of, right? So you must have studied the probability, right, in the maths. So we have to think the high probable thing we can do to remove all those things which can happen in the business, or whatever the risk can come. Insurance is one of the things by which we can try to mitigate the risk, etc., in the business. So this is quite substantial in nature, that planning may not work, but at the same time whenever there are changes we change our plan as well. So planning keeps on, when we are saying planning is continuous, to minimize this thing where people say planning will not work in dynamic environment, that is why planning is done on the daily basis, so that if there is any kind of change or uncertainty or risk, we will have the plan B, plan C, and we will make the another plan, right? Then comes the planning reduces creativity. Creativity, I told you that, so people are not thinking about the ideas actually. So they are coming to their work and they are not motivated, because everything has already been set up, your processes, your method of work, etc. In principle in chapter 2, principle of management, we have already studied method study, wherein best method is selected for the production or the work to be performed by the management, and that is given to the employee, that you have to follow this method and do the production, right? So that is where the people who are actually working, who can think about the innovative idea, they don't think, they just work according to the situation and the method which has been given, the process which has been implemented, right? On the basis of that they are doing. So they are saying, some people say that planning reduces creativity. Then comes, this is also a quite substantial thing, planning involves huge cost. Yes, they are actually what happens, the planning is done on the high level, right? The top level you are doing top level you are doing all the strategy making and policy making. At the lower and the operation level you are doing the production work, etc., and all the work which is done at the lower level. So what happens, the people who are coming at the top level, they are given a very huge salary, so their man hours are very costly, and when they are doing these kind of activity, that is why some of the management gurus and the people says planning involves huge cost, because we can simply copy the peers and the competitors and we can do all the activity according to them. So there is nothing they call planning, right? So this is one of the thing. Then come, planning is time consuming. Yes, whatever we do, for that matter we have to think a lot of things, we have to accumulate different kind of information. Let's say you want to come up with the new product in the market. So what you have to do is, you have to go to the market, you have to understand the consumers demand, what are the consumer demand, what they are looking for, why they want to change in the existing product, and what kind of features they want to the new product, and what should be the cost, etc. You have to study all those data, has to be accumulated. On the basis of that you design a product, and then you find the feasibility, then you do the feasibility study, economic feasibility, and then technical feasibility, etc. Then you come up with a new idea of the product, then you do the advertisement, etc. So planning is a really time consuming activity, because you have to consider a lot of things before you are coming into any kind of decision. So yes, we agree, planning is a time consuming activity. Planning does not guarantee success, and yes, whenever we are doing planning, it does not give us any kind of promise that yes, you will be successful if we are doing planning, right? Let's say if we are going to Mumbai by road, and we are, let's say we are thinking about going by car, and we say that okay, we will take the expressway and we will be there by we will 15 hour, it will take 15 hour, and we will be, after 15 hour we will be in Mumbai, right? So but what happens, there is a jam in between when you are moving towards Mumbai. So what happens, you stuck in a jam for 2 hours. So rather than 15, and the jam is not under your control, so rather than taking the 15 hours, what happens now, it takes you 17 hours, right? So that is not under your control. This is not under your control. That is why the planning does not guarantee the success in business. You can control, but the things can change dramatically, and then you can lose your objective. So this is the thing. These are the basis why the people say there are certain limitation of planning. But when you have been given 6 marker question in your board examination, after that you will write a conclusion that yes, we have different limitation in the planning, but planning does not lead to rigidity. People can think about the new ideas or innovative ideas, and they can give those idea to their manager, and they can think about, if the idea is really substantial in nature and that can give the success to the business, that would be implemented in the business. Planning may not work in the dynamic environment. Yes, planning may not work in the dynamic environment. That is why the planning is done on the day-to-day basis, so that if there is any kind of change, we will have the different plan altogether. Planning reduces creativity, rather it brings creativity, because everybody is very sure about their work, their plan, their methods, etc., their timing. So what they can do, they can manage their work, and after that they can think about their product, their services, or whatever they are doing, and they can come up with a different kind of strategy, and they can share with the management. Planning involves huge cost, but that huge cost ultimately gives you the success in the business. Until and unless you have the strategy how to compete with the your competitors, how you are going to make the good policy so that the employee can be retained in the business who are good in production, right? So you have to make it so these high costs or huge costs really matters, but at the same time they are very fruitful in the long run. Planning is time consuming. Yes, the nature of planning is time consuming, but at the same time, if we want to have the success in the business, then we have to do the planning, and the planning always reduces the uncertainty and is tries to give the success in the business. Planning does not guarantee success. Yes, it does not guarantee success, but at the same time, for everything you have to plan so that you don't have any kind of chance of failure. That means it brings down the probability of failure, rather than it is giving you the guarantee of success, rather it is bringing down the probability of failure, right? So planning is very important. So you have to understand the both the aspect of the limitation of planning, right? Now there are single use plan, and there are plan which can be used only one time, right? So a single use plan, there are single use plan. These plans are made one time, and that can be used one time only, and after that you have to come up with the another plan. So plan can be categorized into two category, right? Single use and then repetitive plan, which can be used again and again, right? So there are two categories. The first is designed one time non-repetitive activities. The goal is achieved, then you have to discard the plan and you have to come up with the new plan. So what are the things? Objective. Now first thing, what are the objective? Objectives are the end thing you want to achieve in the business, right? That is called objective. That means whatever the goal you are setting at the starting of the financial year, that is called your goal, and once the goal is achieved, then you have to start it again, or you have to decide another goal. Now I'm taking the two example, one from you, that is you are making all the plan for class 12th, that how class 12th can be passed through, right? You are doing each and everything. You have made the timetable, you have bought the books, etc. So you are trying to achieve that goal. Once that goal is achieved and you are passed through, you are successfully passing a class 12th. Then you will think about the other objective. It may be CA, it may be MBA, it may be any other thing, right? Same thing in the business. What you can do is, let's say you want to increase your revenue 10%. Once that revenue is achieved 10%, right? So what you can do is, you can think about the other objective. Once 10% increase is done, you may think about 5 more percent or 7 more percent. So once objective is achieved, you will go for the another thing. Just a moment. Now the second thing is strategy. Now strategy क्या होता है? What is strategy? Strategy is a comprehensive plan to achieve organization objective. You would not be able to understand by this. So what strategy is? Strategy is a long term policies which are framed to keep the policy or the action plan of the competitors in mind, and you made the framework to compete with them, right? I'm repeating again, strategy are the long-term policy which are made keeping in mind the policies of the competitors to take care of the business interests so that you can achieve your organization objective. सिंपल ये है, हिंदी में भी बता दूं आपको, स्ट्रेटजी क्या होता है? एक लॉन्ग टर्म की आपकी पॉलिसी होती है जो कि आपके जो कंपटीटर्स होते हैं उनके एक्शंस को ध्यान में रखकर बनाई जाती है, जिससे कि आप अपने लंबे जो ऑब्जेक्टिव होते हैं, दीर्घकाल के जो ऑब्जेक्टिव होते हैं, उनको अचीव कर पाए. जैसे स्ट्रेटजी होती है ना आपकी, जैसे कोको कोला आता है, ठीक है, कोको कोला इज कमिंग अप विद डिस्काउंट. लेट्स से दे आर सेइंग ओके 20 रुपीज बॉटल, नाउ वी आर ऑफरिंग फॉर 18 रुपीज. So what the Coke will do, they will come up with the 70 rupees, and similarly they will increase the quantity of the bottle in the bottle. So this is called strategy. You have to strategize the thing. Yeah, टेलीकॉम में देखिए, टेलीकॉम में आपकी प्राइस वार बहुत होती है. So let's say Vodafone they are decreasing the price. So what happens? Airtel जो होता है वो भी अपने प्राइस कम कर देता है, या जो आपके डेज होते हैं 28 डेज रिचार्ज, उनको इंक्रीज करके 35 डेज या 40 डेज, या आपका डेटा जो है आपका इंक्रीज कर देता है. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड स्ट्रेटजी. यू हैव टू थिंक अबाउट competitors, and on the basis of their policy you are making the long term policy. That is called strategy, right? Then comes the strategy क्या होता है? Once you have achieved your objective, then you have to strategize the next thing, right? Then comes the program. प्रोग्राम में क्या होता है आपका? प्रोग्राम इज अ डिटेल स्टेटमेंट अबाउट ए प्रोजेक्ट. जैसे हम क्या करते हैं, पॉलिसीज वगैरह तो बिजनेस के लिए बना देते हैं. प्रोग्राम क्या होता है? लेट्स से वी हैव ए कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. Most of the time what happens, like infrastructure company like Larsen and Toubro etc., Tata Construction or Reliance Infrastructure or GMR Infrastructure, these companies are getting a different kind of contract. Let's say they are having the contract of building construction of a flyover in Delhi. So what happens, they will prepare a detailed program. वो एक program बनाएंगे. What is program? Detailed statement about the project which outlines the objective, policies, strategies, procedures, methods, rule, what would be the cost, what would be the time period within which we have to finish up. So all these statements will be given, and that statement is called program, right? In a program is a statement in which all the information you have to give: objective, policy, strategy, procedure, method, time period, cost, and profitability. Information you have to give in that statement, and that is called program. This is related to a project, right? You have to understand this, all these things. Objective क्या होते हैं, what are the objective, that is goal. Strategy क्या होती है, keeping in mind the action plan of the competitors, those policies are called strategy. This is for long term. Program क्या होते हैं, एक detailed statement होता है जो सारी information देता है anything about that particular project, right? So you will have a case studies. Basically क्या होता है, इस chapter में से case studies based question आएगा and you will be given case studies and you will be asked what are the one time non-repeating activity or what kind of plans has been given. So you have to find out, is there any objective which has been given or strategy which has been given, or is there planning, because out of this 2 or 3 will be given, right? And you have to find out which is given and then you have to define. Then comes the budget. Every accountant, every account student know budget is a statement of expected result in numerical terms. So everything, budget is a statement in which every aspect of the program or the project are given in numerical terms, that what will be the time period within which we have to finish it up. So numerical में 1 year. What would be the cost? Let's say 3 crore. What will be the profitability? 20%. What would be the labor cost? Let's say 1 crore rupees. What would be the material cost? Let's say 75 lakh rupees. So everything about that particular thing for which you are preparing the budget for, you will be given numerical. Like you say, आप सोचते हैं कि I have to go for the CA, so you will prepare the budget for that. Okay, I have to take the coaching classes. So coaching classes, it will be around 1 lakh rupees I will allocate. Then books 25,000 rupees. Then other thing, laptop etc. Other thing, calculator etc. Let's say 20,000 rupees. Then you have to, this is for let's say up to IPCC. Then you will go for the professional exam or the final exam, right? So you whatever information you are giving for your study or your course, you are giving in numerical terms, right? So that is what called budget. This is a statement which gives every kind of expected result in numericals, right? So please be understand because you will have a case study based question. Then comes the policy. What is policy? These are the repeated plan. एक बार हमने बना लिया. अब अगर जैसे आपकी school, I am giving the example of your school. Your school has given okay uniform policy. So that is repeated again and again for every year. For school budget, they have to prepare again and again, because if the government slaps some kind of taxes or some kind of charge on the school, so they have to revise their plan. But as far as the uniform policy is concerned, that will go for that can go for years until unless they have or people are bored with your uniform etc. for 10 year or 8 year or 5 year, then you can change. So policy is the general guidelines or the statement under which you have to take your decision. So this is a broad guideline under which you have to take the decision. ठीक है, you have to take the decision under the guidelines. हमारी जैसे leave policy होती है, that is the one of the thing, leave policy, right? That is given. Okay, you can take 3 leaves in 6 months. So that is 6 months when you can take 3 leaves. So this is not decided in the first month you cannot take 1 leave, or in the second month you can take only 2 leaves. So 3 leaves you can take in any of the month, right? So these are the policy where you can something you can play with, that is not that strict, but within which you have to take the decision. You cannot go beyond that, right? Then comes the procedure. Procedure is nothing but a way to perform a certain task in a stepwise way, right? When we say procedure, procedure is a way to perform a certain task in a sequence, right? Now I am giving the right word. The way to perform a certain task in a sequential way. So first thing, let's say we are saying okay, we will, every student will be assessed throughout the academic year. So what is the first thing? Unit test 1, then half yearly, then unit test 2, then you will have UT 2, then you will be having another test of pre-board etc. Then you will go for the final examination. So this is sequence. We cannot have the pre-board initial in the month of April. We have unit test 1, unit test 2, then half yearly, then we have unit test 2, then we can have pre-board 1, pre-board 2, and then the final examination. So this is the way of assessment. Similarly, in business you have different steps by which the work can be performed, right? If let's say if you want to take 1 lakh rupees, up to 1 lakh rupees, the accountant can sanction 1 lakh rupees to anybody who is the manager rank, right? If let's say somebody is asking for 2 lakh rupees, so this is the manager will submit that application to the accountant. The accountant will go to the departmental head like finance manager, and he will get it approved, and then the 2 lakh rupees will be given to the manager who has applied for. So this is sequence. 1 lakh, only one step is there. He will go to accountant, the accountant will hand over 1 lakh rupees to the manager, and he will submit the bills to 1 lakh rupees. For 2 lakh rupees, he will submit the request to the accountant will go to the departmental head, that is finance manager, then finance manager if approves, then approval will come to the accountant, and accountant hand over money to the manager, and then he will submit the bill for 2 lakh rupees, or if he doesn't spend the money, then obviously he will return the money. So this is called procedure. The way of the sequence of working a certain task, right? Now comes the method. Method is a way to perform the certain task. Procedure mein I told this is the sequence of performing a certain task. That means a task can be performed. There are different steps involved in that. But when I say method, method is a process or a way to perform a certain task, right? Let's take the example. The machine has been given to a tailor, and he is working with one of the ready-made garment company, and he has been given the method. So this is the way how you are going to stitch, or you are going to manufacture the t-shirt. So he will abide all those rules and regulation, and whatever the quality standard has been given, that is called method. And you have to come up with 10 t-shirt on daily basis, right? So that is called method, and that is standard production. This is related to method. So method is nothing but a way to perform a certain task, right? So this is one of the plan which is decided by the management. Then comes the rule. Rule are the rule are the specific statement. अब ये याद रखना, this is quite related to policies. यहाँ पे मैंने बोला general statement or general guideline within which you have to work, right? But you can, within the general guideline you can play with. But here rule are the specific statement which will be abide by all the people, and you cannot deviate from. आप उससे deviate नहीं कर सकते. Let's say you have a rule. Nobody is going to smoke in the business premises. So whether it is CEO, whether it is the labor class employee, you cannot smoke in the building. Otherwise, you will be fined, or after various attempts, if you are not mending your ways, you will be fired from the organization. Similarly, let's say the uniform policy has been given, and they say Monday to Thursday you can come in the formal, and on Friday you can come right in informal, but the t-shirt should be a collar one, right? So you cannot go with a round neck t-shirt, right? So that would be the infringing of the rule which has been set up in the uniform policy or uniform rules. So rules are the specific statement which everybody has to abide with, and nobody can deviate from. Nobody can deviate from. This word you have to understand and write. Nobody can deviate from. आप इससे deviate नहीं कर सकते. रूल हैं तो abide करने पड़ेंगे. ठीक है, जैसे हमारे यहाँ पे रूल होता है लेफ्ट हैंड साइड ड्राइविंग होती है तो लेफ्ट हैंड साइड ही ड्राइव करोगे, आप राइट हैंड साइड पे नहीं करोगे, राइट? सो दिस इज कॉल्ड रूल, एंड दिस इज वन ऑफ द प्लान. Now this has been given. Now what is the objective? Objective are the end goal towards which the activities are directed. Now you want to pass through the class 12th and you want to secure 90%. So whatever you are doing nowadays, you are doing to achieve those end result, that is called objective. You have objective of that. Strategy, this is a comprehensive plan to achieve the organization objective, keeping in mind the strategy or the action plan of the competitors, right? I'm adding these things so you can be very clear about the policy and the strategy. Policy क्या होती है? General statement which are given to you take the business decision in a particular situation and in a particular direction you have to go, right? This is called policy. This is not rule. Rules are the specific statement you cannot deviate from. These are the general statement and they are guiding you to take the business decision to channelize your work in a particular direction, right? Procedure is nothing but a way of working in a sequence way, that is step by step आप कैसे करेंगे, what is first step, what is second step, what is third step, right? This is the way. जैसे आपका IIT में admission होता है ना, first you have to go one exam, then you have to go the other exam, advanced or mains, etc. So step by step you have to follow that. So procedure is nothing but a sequential way of performing a task, that is called procedure. Method, a prescribed way to perform a certain task, that is called method. कि कैसे काम करना है, how to do a particular task, that method, that manner is called method. Now rule are the specific statement that has to be abide by all and you cannot deviate from on your own discretion. आप अपने ही मन से उससे अलग नहीं कर सकते हैं. आप ये नहीं कह सकते okay Friday everybody has to abide the rule of collar t-shirt by कुछ नहीं होता. I am a very high rank official, now I can go with the round neck t-shirt. So this is not, you cannot deviate from your own, right? Then comes the budget and programs. Budget are the statement in which all the information about what you are going to achieve for a period for which the budget is made for, everything is given in the numericals. जिस time period के लिए आप budget बना रहे हैं, it can be 1 year, it can be 6 months, it can be 3 months, it can be 1 month, right? So जिस के लिए भी आप budget बना रहे हैं उस period से संबंधित for related budget, for which period, whatever period you are making the budget for, everything for that period, every information for that period related to that particular program or project is given in the numerical values, right? Now program is a detailed statement given for a particular project in which you give all the information about rules, regulation, plan, policy, budget, etc. When this is going to be finished, what would be the cost, everything is given, every information is given in that particular statement, that is called program, right? Why they matter, ये सारी चीजें matter क्यों करती हैं? Budget translate plans into numerical terms and program integrate all the elements of planning, right? होता क्या है बजट में, you give the in the numerical terms, so you have an idea that आप आराम से अब कहते हैं, हम कहेंगे okay within time we will finish this project. Now what time? You need to have the exact time. Okay, we have to finish the project by 1 year. Okay, we have to finish it within the 24 months. So this is very specific in nature, so that is where the budget helps. And similarly the project, for a particular project, because we have different projects, right? If you take the example of IT company, they are getting project from the different banks like American banks, right? Then they are getting the information from the different company like aviation company like GE Electronics, right? So they are having a different kind of nature, so they will have the different requirements. So when they are you are getting the different contracts from the different company, so you will have different kind of nature of work. So program gives you the information in various terminologies and in various ways, and that is why the budget and programs are very important in nature. Now this is all about planning. Now comes the planning process. Now you have 4 processes in your subject, that is, one is planning process, right? The other is organization process. Then comes the staffing process, Then comes the controlling process. Beside this, so all these processes, four processes are there. So first is planning process, and out of these either you will have a straight question about these processes in your board examination, or you will have a case study out of these four in your board examination. Now what is planning process, right? The first thing is planning. प्लानिंग आप करते हैं, यू आर डूइंग प्लानिंग, व्हाट टू डू, हाउ टू डू, हु इज गोइंग टू डू एंड व्हाट टाइम ही इज गोइंग टू डू, right? Everything. So there is a certain process you follow. It's not like that in the morning you get up and you start up your planning. It's not like that. You have a team, you discuss about that. By your subordinate you get lots of information, and you having the brainstorm session on that, you get the information about your competitors, etc., and then on the basis of that you do the feasibility study. After that you come up with the planning process, right? The first thing, setting up objective. The first thing planning process आप क्या करते हैं, you need to have a certain direction where you want to go. Similarly, in the business, let's say you want to achieve 20% sales increment. So this is the goal where all your efforts will go. Similarly, if you want to become the chartered accountant, what will you do? You are putting thrust on mathematics, accountancy and business studies, so that you have a very good command over these subjects. Maths, why I am saying, because that is the numerical aptitude. It makes your numerical aptitude, and you have lots of questions on numerical aptitude like indirect taxation, direct taxation. Then you have financial management, you have costing, you have financial accounting, corporate accounting. So you need to have command over these things, right? So setting up an objective, आप set करते हैं अपना objective that gives you the direction, which direction you have to go. The first thing is setting an objective. Once you do that, now the things are clear where you have to go. The second thing is developing premises. Now developing premises is making assumption about future based on the forecasting. So what happens, what you will do a lots of assumption where to go for study. Should I go for Lakshmi Nagar or Rajendra Nagar or something like other places, or should I go for the satellite classes or one-to-one classes? So you will have lots of assumptions. Should I take a room other than from my home, or should I stay at home because you have luxury at home rather than going for the paying guest? So there are a number of assumptions you will make about how to prepare for the CAs. The same thing happens in the business as well. Whatever the objective you have set up for, you have to make a lot of assumption for that, how to achieve that, what are the things required, okay, how the competitors are taking that object, have anybody achieved that object previously. So a lot of assumptions are made. That is called developing premises, right? Then comes identifying alternative course of action. So what happens when you are doing lots of things? Let's take the example when you have entered in class 11th. You must have decided, okay, should I go for T.S. Grewal book of accountancy, or should I go for the D.K. Goyal? Should I go for the NCRT book for the accountancy? Should I go for the Maheshwari? Should I go for the uh, Monga, right? So which book I should go? So that is called. And how did you get these information? By developing premises, that which book I can take, which books are being taken by the competitors or your fellow students, which are the books which are being followed by the school teacher, which are the books which are being followed by the coaching class teachers. So everything is in developing premises, and after that you are having lots of alternative course of action. That means you have lots of option available, and you are making a list of that. ठीक है, आप उसकी लिस्ट बना लेते हैं कि ये सारी लिस्ट हैं हर चीज की. I just give an example. In business as well, you have lots of option. Work can be performed in a different way. Let's take the example I'm taking you through. Let's take, if you want to implement ERP system, so you have SAP. You must have heard the company called SAP, that is a German company. Then Oracle is one of the company wherein you can have your ERP system. Then Tally is one of the thing you can have. This is a smaller version. To get Tally you can have. Then you can have JD AdWords. then you can have Walker system of accounting. So you have lots of way or option. Then you are evaluating the things. तो आप क्या करते हैं, evaluate करते हैं कि which is the best method your business will have. There are number of things you will think, that whether your employee are capable of working in SAP or not. That is the sophisticated version of the ERP system. Whether they are very proficient in Tally because they have worked in a localized firm, right? Whether you have enough money to pay SAP compared to the Tally, which is very high in cost, right? Whether you are very specific in nature and work, you can go for the JD Edwards or the Walker. So what kind of people and what kind of limitation you have to think about that. On the basis of that, you will evaluate all the alternatives available to you. Then comes selective and alternative. और फिर क्या होता है, आपको alternative select करना पड़ता है. You are evaluating all the things, so you have done all the things. Let's take the your example. So you come up with, yes, okay, I will go for the T.S. Grewal, right? This is the book I will go for because most of the teachers are studying from this book. I'm not suggesting, I'm just giving the example, right? Or let's say, for example, you have decided NCERT book. Okay, I will go for the NCERT book that has been suggested by the CBSE, right? You have decided, so you have taken the alternative course of action, selected. Now in the business, you have ERP system, SAP, Oracle. Let's say you are a very good company and you are making good amount of profit for continuous 10 years. So you can say that, okay, we are a very good company and we have very good prospect in the future as well. So what we can do is we can do the training if the people are not comfortable with. So we can go for the SAP. So SAP, the ERP system we will select for. And the next one is implement that. ठीक है, implement that system, whatever the alternative you have chosen, that alternative you have to implement that into your business. So how do you implement that? You select that thing, you convey the information. Communication is very much required. You communicate to the different level of manager so that they can mind of the employee, that they can embrace the change rather than resist it, and enough knowledge is given to them, enough training is given to them so that they can easily work in the SAP system. So this is planning process. By giving an example, I have explained you, right? So this is the steps in the planning process. Then comes the recap or the key takeaway. So planning define. Planning में क्या होता है कि आपका पहले से ही define कर लेते हैं in advance what to do, how to do, who is going to do that. So this is one of the primary function of management. सबसे पहले यही किया जाता है और decide कर लिया जाता है कि कैसे कैसे काम होगा. Then the key feature of planning is this is goal oriented. ये क्या होता है आपका goal oriented होता है, right? This is goal oriented. This is goal oriented. Then goal oriented मतलब the planning is done to achieve the goal. Then comes the primary objective. ये आपका, this is the first step or the first function in the organization. I told you that in the chapter 1, management is the process of planning, right? First thing, planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling to get the work done so that the work can be done efficiently and effectively, right? So the first function, and I told you that you can remember the name of the chapter. This is chapter number 4. Fifth is the next one, that is organization, right? The second is pervasive. Planning is pervasive. It is required in each kind of organization, whether it is business organization or whether it is other organization like sports, charitable organization, hospital, school, college, etc. And at all the level, whether it is top level, bottom level or operation or mid level organization, everywhere the planning is required. That is why it is called pervasive. Continuous because the time is very dynamic, so this is one of the continuous function every manager has to do. Planning is futuristic, that is related to the future of the organization and the employee. That is why it is called futuristic, because we have to take every decision for the future. It involves decision making. Every manager does the planning to take the business decision. So planning is related to the business decision or decision making. Now, what type of plans are there? There are two types of plans: single plan, which are used for one time only, and you have standing plan, right, which can be used again and again. Single use plan, objective, strategy, program and budgets are there, which can be used single. They are used for one time only, and after that you have to prepare the newer one. Standing plan, policy, procedure, methods, rules, you can prepare one time and you can use for the number of year, right? Then we have the steps of the planning process. सबसे पहले you will set up the objective, the developing premises, that means you will assume for different solutions. Then identify alternatives, you will accumulate all the alternatives which are available to you. Then what are the alternatives available to you, you will evaluate that what are the alternative which is beneficial for me. Then you will decide or take decision selecting the alternatives, and after that the last one is implementing the thing, right? You will implement that, and then comes the follow-up action. Then you will follow up, right? So follow-up action would be there. Now, importance, what is the importance of planning? It provides direction, which direction or which objective you have to achieve. It reduces the risk, right? It does not provide the guarantee of the success, but it always try to reduces the probability of risk, minimize waste. So the overlapping activity is not there. You already decide who is going to do work, when he is going to finish the work, what is the method he will use. So everything is given, so your waste will be minimum. Promote innovation. So when you are given everything in place and smoothly work is done by everyone, so they can come up with the innovative idea when they are satisfied with the way management is working. Facilitate decision making. When everything is organized and managed in a very proper way, the management can take the good decision, right? Establish control standards. Planning is the first thing which are providing goals or objective, right? And when the controlling happens, controlling is you're measuring your actual performance, which is set up in your planning. So comparing of your objective and actual performance, that process is called planning, right? So planning is setting the standard for controlling, or controlling is totally depending on planning, we can say. Limitation, there are certain limitation as well. Rigidity हो जाती है, nobody has to think, everything has been decided in advance, right? Dynamic environment challenges, if the environment is very dynamic, so planning cannot do anything, right? Reduces creativity. Some people think that we have already been given each and everything, we don't have to think about, we just have to work. That is why it reduces the creativity. High cost, people are devoting number of man hours, and these people are hired on the fat salary, and that is why it is called high cost process. Time consuming, it takes a lot of time to decide what to do, how to do and when to do, because it is a process wherein failure of business or the success of business is totally depending upon. No guarantee of success. If you are making a plan, it does not give you the guarantee that you will be successful, but at the same time it gives you guarantee that whatever the probability of failure or risk can be minimized. ठीक है, तो आपके फेल्योर की जो आपकी प्रोबेबिलिटी होती है, that can be minimized with the help of planning. So overall planning is very important for the business, and you have to do that before doing any kind of activity in life, not only in business. But in business, the planning is one of the primary function and has to be done, and very important, and in longer term it gives you a very good result. So this was it. If you have any kind of problem with any words, any phrase, any sentence, any concept, what you can do is just go through my lecture and you can come up with all those doubts, and you can mention in the comment box, and I will definitely clear your doubts with the help of another lecture. But please subscribe that, so that at least I have the motivation for the next video. Thank you very much. Have a very nice day.